Good evening, class, or whenever you're watching this. Typically in my classes, we have an opportunity for a Zoom class, and then I have more of a chance to show you painting skills. And you guys have been having so much fun, and I haven't gotten sick, so we haven't done that yet, but I thought I would take this opportunity over the weekend just to do a quick video for you so I can do a little demo on working with watercolor, kind of show you what I'm enjoying about working with it right now, and talk a little bit about color and that kind of stuff. I've been loving how active the classes are, and that it's a place for you all to come together and do something fun and challenging together. So I just really haven't wanted to impose myself too much on that community that you're building, that we are building. But I also wanted to have a little more instruction for you, and so I'm going to do it now. So I'm showing you this. I consider this to be a finished piece. And Mason, if you're watching this, you'll be so proud of me because I actually left, look at those terrible pencil marks from my oval, and I actually left them there. And now that the piece is done, you can't even see it. So, I think next time, because I know that this squash is in front, I would erase at least those lines, but the rest of them, I forgot is the reality. I was having fun and I forgot, and it's totally okay. So I wanted to show you getting to that stage. This is one that I have not put ink on. In fact, it's wet. But I just kind of wanted to show you what I've been really enjoying doing. So, and kind of how I got started with this whole art thing. So we've been using a lot of photographs in class, and you've been bringing photographs. But I saw this in the yard the other day, and it's like it was the only, really one of the only flowers left in the yard. I could not believe all the buds on this. I pulled out, actually these aren't all attached, but I have them all in a vase together. And he was closed when I took him off the vine, but then he opened. Now these aren't gonna open. I've done this before. These are too, they're not ready to open enough that they will open. They'll just kind of brown and die. But this guy was almost open, and now look what he's doing. So, I'll be honest, that's a really complicated line. That's why I said dahlias, roses. Other flowers are very forgiving and great for beginners and great for the style that I'm doing now. But roses are very complicated like that. So anyway, I just thought this was really beautiful, and I wanted to spend some time with it, and I wanted to paint it. And that is what led to this. Now this hasn't been inked yet, and I don't know, I think this time I'm gonna go in and erase some of these lines once it's dry. Oops. And I don't know, oops, geez, sorry, I'm not a professional. I don't know what will ultimately happen with this, and I've made some errors and yada yada. I keep my colors really simple when I'm doing that because it's challenging to paint in that style for me. If I was a master drawer, and those of you who are better drawers than I am, you may have an easier time at that. But for me, it's a lot to keep track of, and that's why I did leave some pencil line down. So I'm gonna do this holly branch, which actually I might have taken this out of a neighbor's yard as I was walking around the block. But, and I think I'm going to put more berries than this. This one's pretty sparse, but I just kind of loved some of these leaves and the glassiness of them, and then this nice sprig of color. Not necessarily because it looks like Christmas, although it does, but just kind of look like something I might want to loosely paint. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to have that off to the side. I'm going to take the brush I like to start with, which is this number 2 quill, Da Vinci Casaneo. You can get it less expensively on Jackson's Art Supply, and it is synthetic. One of my students, well, Mason told us. So I was very happy to hear that. Okay, so I have a very limited color palette here, okay? So let's talk about color choice for a second. In some respects, I wish I had chosen a different, I'm not thrilled. I mean, this is what Lynn would call muddy, but it might also be what I would call sophisticated and might be working really well with the bright pink. I would actually be curious to hear what you have to say about that. I kind of liked the gray it was making, but then I didn't know, is that just a little too sad of a color? But it has been raining all day, so maybe that's appropriate. So all that being said, I'm not thrilled with these color choices, but I have them out. My water's dirty. They're good. Oops, excuse me. They're good enough, so I'm just going to go with it so that I don't kill time. All right, so what I haven't done yet is put any pencil lines on here. And to be honest, this is a hard thing to draw because I'm not gonna, in the sense that I'm not gonna do it like this. But let's just kind of, okay, this is a little bonus session. I'm not expecting you to be able to do this, okay? But I'm just kind of gonna make an arc here. And you're not gonna be able to see this because I don't want hard lines on my page. I'm not doing this demo for that reason. I'm just giving myself kind of some guidelines to remind myself how this is growing. See, they're alternating. So I'm going to alternate. And then I also noticed that, you know, usually they get bigger as they go down. This one's a little funky. It has the berries in the middle. And so it's not quite growing according to nature, which also is, frankly, I think one of the things I liked about it. So maybe I'll be a little funky too. Now you can see I'm doing super loose shapes. A lot of these lines are going to be erased. But I'm just giving myself kind of a sense of how big this should be, because you'll see when I do my brush strokes, I just need a reminder of how large I want these to be, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because I'm not going to remember when I'm in that stage, in that flow state. Okay, and so then I need to look at what the berries are doing. So under these leaves, okay. Sorry, this is not scripted, as you can tell. Okay, so getting back to what I love about this. I love noticing that these berries, there's 3. They have just deliciously short little stems. And then this leaf is coming up above them and it's like curled like this. Okay, so from this angle, look at the lines that I'm seeing in this leaf. I would not have noticed that, and I'm very glad I did. I was just going to do something like super loose. But, you know, if I look at the holly from that perspective, you know, that looks really interesting. Then I see that there's a highlight behind here. Of course, there's one down here. This leaf is all like chunked out, which frankly, I also find kind of interesting. You know, all of those things I'm going to keep in my back pocket as I'm thinking about color and line ultimately. And I'm probably not going to worry too much about these shapes now, but those are I'm going to look at this again to inform where my line goes, because that's ultimately, you know, like I can be super loose about this if I can then fill it in with some line and some darker paint. You know, because I mean, you should have seen this thing before I put the line in and the darks. I mean, you could tell it was 2 squashes, I guess, but it looked pretty weird when it was just the first wash, nice and bare. So the line and the shadow, I mean, all of it has informed it. And, you know, obviously I added some color in these lines. But like if I hadn't noticed in the squash that the lines go like this, and that they actually kind of like jump out and you can see some of the ridge behind there. If I hadn't noticed those things, this wouldn't look so accurate. And so, and likewise with this rose, one of the things that is cool about it, if I do say so myself, is, you know, that I've noticed how, you know, the tightness of the buds and where things are starting to spin off. I've noticed that there's some red in these tiny little flowers in here. I mean, they're just, the reason this is working to the extent it isn't because I've done amazing things. Well, I've been very loose with my brush, and you'll see that, and that's why I really want you guys to think about that and work on that. If you like that style, If you like it tighter, then you need to keep your brush more in control. But also the things that I've noticed, you know, that I noticed that in some of these buds, I don't know if you can see that, but there's some red coming off the tip where the bud is aging. So anyway, that all makes it work. Likewise with the shapes of things, you know, some of these shapes, because I have now noticed them, I don't remember how we were looking at this. I guess we were looking at this one. You know, I can use that to inform the line that I'm going to draw and the shape that I'm going to make now. And in fact, what I'd like to do is get an eraser. And I'm going to, I do want some overlap on my stem, but maybe not right here. Maybe this one I need to kind of think about, give myself a little more information about what's going on with this leaf. And then it's also important, you know, how is it coming out of the branch? Is it coming out like this? Is it coming out like this? This one is coming out like this, but these are going down. So the direction something grows is important. And then I'm just going to kind of, and then, you know, some leaves, they just come right off, you know, right from here, but this one has a little, so that's, you know, that's also good to know. And then some of those lines can be my berries. Oops, but they're not different lengths. So that line, that's not gonna work. Okay. Okay. Okay, now one thing I didn't do is kind of, I think I might want a little more definition in my stem. Okay. And then, and we'll deal with the stem. You'll see what we do with the stem. So I have two brushes. I have a rigger. I think it's a 2 rigger. Yep. And a 2 quill. Apparently I like 2s. I did have 2 colors until I realized I needed a blue. All right, Amy, stop talking. Gotta get moving. This video is already 12 minutes long. Okay, so now I'm mixing some paint, which you can't see because I'm off camera. Sorry about that. I'm just mixing up some paint. And here's what I've been doing with these Kuretake paints, which has actually been working really well. I'm getting them wet right on top. Oh, by the way, to choose better colors, and then I'm just kind of mixing them and using them out of there. To choose better colors, you know, kind of just do a little doodle with the, you know, choose 2 colors and do a doodle and see if you like the colors you're getting. You know, let them run together. You can even just kind of do it in a line. So, and then I can also test on this piece of paper that you also can't see. Not a professional. Ew, that color's ugly. I don't think I'm not going to love it. It's a color not even a mother could love. All right. So let's try again. Let's try. I'm stuck with this. Well, I've kind of committed to this green, so that's fine. You know, this isn't a great green, but it's a very natural green. This, you know, it needs a little work, but it's a very natural green. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. There was I used my malachite. Oh, I finally got to use my malachite. Oh, I love this color. I bought this 36-pack set because I had to have this color. And I forgot that I was using it to mix like a nice kind of eucalyptus-y green. So these Kuretake colors, dang. Look at that though. Look how juicy that is. Teresa, that's exactly what I was going to tell you. I think I'm going to bring some paints for you. Just paints I was using that I was going to throw away. They're just daubs on a piece of paper. But I think for cheaper paints, I would do these Kuretake paints. The ones that Mary and an Ann. Okay, so I made some boo-boos here, but that's okay. You're not gonna notice it at the end. Okay, so now we got that there. So you can see that this is not really a waste of time. Well, you might feel like it's a waste of time, but, and certainly might feel like watching me is a waste of time. I'm not offended by that. It took me a long time to get into this process because it's kind of tedious, but it isn't tedious once you kind of get the hang of it and start to enjoy it a little more and just kind of enjoy the sensuousness of it. You know, the delight of the color that you're mixing, the juiciness of it, the brush on the porcelain. I always do it, or I usually do it in porcelain because I just find that feel just a lot more desirable. You know, rubbing a synthetic brush against plastic, I could not get the hang of this at all. Okay, so now you see that I have some pretty good piles of things. I'm going to make a darker green with this blue over here. But I'm getting all my colors ready because I want to be able to use all of them now. I don't want to be mixing them and have my water drying. That's why this style works, because my painting is not drying. Okay, and then you can't really see this, but I have 2 cups of water, and I keep one cool and one warm. And then I generally have one more container of water where if I'm doing yellow and I haven't done it yet for some reason, and I really need it not to be infected by this, because the color of this water will already be a problem for my yellow. So then I just keep this jar. But, you know, I have a whole, like, studio space, so you don't need to worry about all this. But I'm just saying, some people enjoy how my colors stay clean, and let's just say it's a lot of effort. Okay, so these aren't the right colors for this thing at all, but they're the colors I have and the colors I've chosen, so I'm just going to go for it. So what I'm going to do first, you know, I definitely want to somewhere also, another noticing thing is I want to capture these bits here, these sharp bits, and the curls that, you know, kind of go up into those spiky parts. So I may not do that right away, but I'm going to have my rigger handy, and let me show you why. So now I'm going to go in and have all of these paints I can use, I can dip into. These are just sitting in the palette, but I want them actually really rich. For this style of painting, I'm going in with a pretty heavy color right away. And then I'm going to... I want to be careful with that tip. That tip's kind of important. And I'm dipping into my blue and coming down. And as you can see, I'm like kind of releasing the whole. Now, I can tell you right now, am I positive this is going to work and I'm going to want to sell this painting? No, of course not. I have no idea. But, you know, we do it anyway. Okay, so now that I'm looking at this again, now I don't know how I feel about that whole space, but I tell you what I love is what's going on there. How those colors are mixing, and there's a lot of water on there, and I'm not going to touch it, except to do this. I need a stem, so I'm just going to pull some color out. Oh, wait. Oh, I forgot. This curls around. See, I already... Okay. And then let's do this top one, but let's pretend I just dipped into the malachite. And now I kind of want to use that. And then I kind of want to make a little... Now, I don't know if that's going to work at all. I'll just be honest with you. But I like it. I really like all that action in there. I like how this is coming together. And now you can see down here, that one, I could flick it a little bit with this. And I could, as long as I can keep this wet, then I don't have any like hard line there, but it doesn't matter. But that's why I wanted to flick this kind of away. Now the thing is, I gotta look at my little pokers here. Oh, you know what I see in those little pokers? I see a little bit of red. I don't know if you can see that. When you're out, I don't want to get into my paint. When you're out on a walk, check it out. But because of that, I'm going to dip into this juice I've created here. And then I'm actually going to tap off my brush because I want it to be pointy. And then what way are those points going? Oh, some are pointing up, but some are pointing out. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that one you can't see the red. But now that it's, too much. Do you see that big bead right there? I can't use that much. But there, we just get in that little tiny hint. It just, I don't know, it makes it more realistic. It shows that I've been paying attention. Let's do a tiny bit. That's still wet, so I can put a little drop up there. So now I just have a little bit of nice variety. All right, rinse off my rigger. Now this is the granulation that we were talking about, or I was talking to somebody about. You can see that it's granulating a little bit, which I really like. In fact, I'm becoming kind of obsessed with granulating paints. Schminka, I think it is, makes they have a super granulating set. I think I have to ask for it for Christmas because I'm just totally obsessed. I'm obsessed with, especially because of this kind of painting, I need a little interest in the paint, or I'm gonna, like disappoint my viewer because I don't otherwise have a lot going on, I mean, otherwise it's a pretty simple painting if I don't have some excitement there. Okay, so this I'm just making wet, and I'm gonna drag that in wet. But then you will see, some of you already know what will happen, but the rest of you, so I'm just getting some pigment over here. And I'm not gonna cover, well, I don't even really have a shape. I'm just gonna kind of, with the principles that we had talked about before, I'm getting some blue. That might be too much blue. Let's come back in with some of this green. And I'm going here. This is where I'm going to end up. And this must not be touching because there's no action, so I'm just going to bring that in there so that can move. And then I might let's kind of make some, I'm kind of using this as a pencil. Just kind of adding some, and then I'll just look at my objects once in a while. But, for me, it's a lot more interesting to look at, I just find this more interesting than looking at a photo. I don't want to study a photo. I want to study nature. But I don't have a whale to hold. So if I want to paint a whale, I need to use a photo. So I can also get these to move, I could kind of like tilt my paper and see, what's going on? Look what's happening on the left there. That thing is going crazy. In fact, I'm getting so much paint down here that I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush and kind of flick a bead of water and then connect them. And then there it goes. It does, oh, sorry, I forgot these things were connected. It's doing my painting for me. Now this one I want to be closer. Oh, this is great. So I have this nice wet stem, and I'm just gonna come in here with some paint. I don't know what I'm doing. I just kind of observed the shape, and I'm kind of hoping that I can sort of make it work. And then connect these two objects. Yeah. And then let's give, and this is where I might go back to my object and look at it the way I was looking at it. Oh, and then I see that this actually turns, okay, this one turns, the stem turns in, but there's nothing I can do about that right now. I can kind of make a back to that. The other thing I thought might be interesting on this one is to actually, okay, now I'm gonna go over what I had done because I sort of wanted to connect them. And then I can get this wet, get a little wet water on this if it kind of dries. You know, this is where it gets a little fiddly and you gotta be a little careful. But, you know, again, I'm gonna try to fix this up with ink when I'm done. So, you know, we'll see how that happens. And like I said, this may not work. It may be that I should have done more drawing. But this excites me. It's kind of like, you know, it's like a mystery. Like I don't actually know what's gonna happen, you know, which is really fun. Well, I should say there's oftentimes we don't know what's gonna happen, but sometimes that uncertainty is not fun and does not feel like a mystery, or at least not a good one. Okay, so that's kind of, well, let's do some berries because then we can use more of this red. So I noticed that these berries, it's actually kind of a brown. So I'm gonna go into on my palette, I have some burnt sienna, and I don't need much. I just want a little that I can mix with the green, with the red, I mean. Okay, and I see what's happening here. In fact, I think it would be good to put berries here too. So what I'm gonna do is kind of pull this out, let them connect, and you can see I'm just kind of like flicking. And that's where my berries are gonna go. Okay, and then let's do some berries. And you can see my brown is running a little bit, totally cool with that. I do want to put a little bit of green in that brown and maybe some of the malachite blue. Just kind of, you know, just drop it in a little bit. Vary that color so they're not just pure brown sticks. Okay, and then this is kind of weird. Like, I don't know, how am I gonna do this berry? You know, this would be a great time for the wax. And if I haven't given you a birthday candle yet, if you have a white birthday candle, this one tip will make everything we've endured together worth it. Just kidding. Because I'm gonna give my berries a little highlight, and then you'll see what happens. All right, now class, why did I make the middle one so much smaller? I did that on purpose. I don't know if you could tell that. We'll have a quiz, remind me. And if you know, let me know. Nobody will probably even watch this video, but I've had fun making it, so it's okay. Okay, right now I'm just going into some dark red, a cool red, just to drop in, just so I get a little variety. I just don't like one color. And because they're so wet, no, I'm getting bubbles. Don't like that either. Since they're still wet, I can just drop it in. And so it's really easy to add some variety. I don't have to move the strokes or do anything. You know, I am getting a little seepage over here, so if I don't like that, I can kind of pick that up. And it might move again, so I might have to pay a little attention. Now, keep in mind, this is a really weird shape for a berry, but I don't care because I'm gonna put ink on it. It'll look better that it's not matching where the ink lines are going. Okay, So that's kind of it. You can stop now if you're still here. I'm just gonna finish this up. And, you know, that's why I'm just really a fan of these Kiritake paints, because I just get so much juice out of them. I mean, for the price point, you know, for doing like watercolor painting where you get to enjoy what the paint does, you just really can't beat this set. And Mary, I have changed my mind. I am not using them with a palette anymore. I'm just getting tons of water on top and letting them be really rich. Now, I'm not sure you should paint with them that way, because you already get your paints a little too rich and they need a little more water. But maybe we can find a happy medium. All right. I hope you guys had a really nice Thanksgiving. I had such a nice Thanksgiving. This one, I'm just gonna get the paper a little wet and kind of see what happens. I haven't done that yet, I guess, but that's why I'm getting such rich results. But this one, I think I'll just go ahead and see what will happen. If I just drop color in, oop, I hit a spot that wasn't wet, which is why it just sat there. And the reason it's sticking like that is because I didn't have enough water on it. And so, and that looks a little strange because I don't really have any strong blue up here, but I'm kind of liking it. So I'm gonna go up here where I still see it's shiny. And I'm gonna drop some blue in like that. And then that will just kind of move. And then this one won't look so strange. I can also do it here. That's all still totally wet. I mean, that to me, this process is why you paint with watercolor. And I'm just using Canson watercolor paper, by the way. The reason that paper will work is because I'm not flooding it with water. I'm only doing the object. I'm not doing the negative painting of the background. So it works just fine. So then I'm gonna come in here. So yeah, I had a super nice Thanksgiving. Went to my uncle's house. We, my cousin and I cooked because all the adults, well, many of the adults have had surgery recently. I mean, I guess I'm one of the adults. That's funny, but I don't really feel that way. I don't know if that one's gonna look like a holly leaf or not, but I'm just gonna leave it. Go in with a tiny little bit of pink. You know, sometimes those little details will actually help the eye. Because it's weird, like, I didn't know that little thorn, it's not a thorn, poker was turning red until I looked at it to draw it. But I see, like, I don't know, it's weird. I see why that one looks more real. Because obviously my brain had registered that detail. And it, you know, it registered that, you know, when things are coming to the end of their season, you know, that's what they do. So that detail registered, but not consciously. And so that one, you know, obviously looks, you know, more natural. So now that one, I'm not going to mess with that. I might do it because I can't move this paint anymore. It's dried too much. So that one I'd probably just do with ink. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that leaf is a little funky, but I think it's all right. So then we want to do, check out my object. It's coming under here. Oh, and these are kind of sticking out a little bit, which is fun. Not at all where I drew my pencil. Okay. And then put a little brown in there. This line is a little too long, so I'm going to take a paper towel and just kind of push on that paint right there. It doesn't really matter, I'd cover it anyway, but that will just help me remember. And then just moving that a little bit. And actually I could even kind of soften with water. I got a little drop of water, and then I can kind of connect these two while they're still wet. All right, and then let's get my candle. Oh boy, I always do this. I use it and then I put it down, and goodness only knows where it is now. Okay, I'm not gonna use my candle. I'll have to use gouache afterwards. Total hassle. Not really, just kidding. Sometimes I get a little irritated with myself that I don't keep my station very clean. Okay. Okay. Oh my gosh, what am I? Oh shoot, I did it on that. I did it on the pencil line instead of this line. That's a really good berry. So that's kind of a bummer. And then this one I'm going to try to put over the stem, which is going to work because it's wet. It's nice when things overlap because that's what they do in nature. And that berry, I think I'm just going to leave it. In fact, I think I might do the rest of them because there are some that are close together. I'm gonna have to put another leaf somewhere so that these berries make sense. But that'll look good. That'll look good. Okay, and then let's kind of just carry this. I'm definitely not going to touch the berry, obviously. I don't want that red to run. But I'm just going to kind of soften this line. That's a way to sort of complete the painting process so I don't have a hard edge there. And then I just kind of look it over and see, you know, while it's still wet, what else should I do with it? Or, you know, is there anything else I need to do with it? I don't think so. I think that's the right amount of berries. It's fall. There's not a ton of berries on them. Oh, I do see that while it is wet, this leaf doesn't have any red in it. And so I'll put them, like I said, I'm not going to do one there. I don't know what I'm going to do with that leaf. It may not work. That may be too weird. And I definitely need a leaf over here, but I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to finish this video because, oh my goodness, it's over 37 minutes. And yeah, you know, there's lots of different ways to paint. And we've been, you know, you can kind of see in class the different ways that people paint. This is just the way that I really enjoy painting. But there's just so many different ways. All right, I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye-bye.